Good morning. I thought I'd do a demonstration ride on dual carriageways and motorways. It's quite warm today. It's only 9 AM and it's already rather hot. So prior to the journey I've already checked the maps to make sure there's no issues on the motorway as yet. Because the last thing I want to be doing is getting stuck in a traffic jam where the motorway turns out to be closed, even though we can make our way up to the front of the queue. Some of the common mistakes that we see with motorway riding are following distances very close to the vehicles in front, late planning, so not looking far enough ahead and then getting stuck behind a vehicle before being able to overtake. Sudden and unexpected lane changes, not very smooth or well planned. When changing lanes, so moving back in the lanes, sometimes people move into the blind spots of large vehicles, whereas it's safer to wait until you're past the front end of the vehicle and then move in. Speeding. Not getting up to speed. The problems with not getting up to speed generally tend to be that those vehicles that are using the slower lanes might want to go a touch faster than you're going. They'll start tailgating you without being able to overtake, so certain lorries, for example. Most people do get up to speed, but we occasionally get those who are still only doing 55 to 60 as they join the motorway and sit at that speed on the motorway for some period of time and require a little bit of coaxing to get up to speed. It's safer to get up to speed and hold your speed at or around the speed limit or the speed of the traffic that's moving around you if there's any sort of hold-ups. Otherwise you run the risk of being tailgated if the vehicles can't get enough power or speed to overtake you. Or people diving in and out of you, or timing their taking an exit to just dive right in front of you because they desperately wanted to get past you before they could take the exit, even though you're not taking the exit. So people start behaving erratically around vehicles that are not doing the speed limit because they get frustrated. Other common faults that we see are people staying in the outside lanes. When it is safe to move in and they're holding the traffic back behind them. Generally there's not a problem with staying out in one of the further lanes, 2, 3 or 4, if you can see another overtake coming up. So you're holding your position for a reason and you're not holding the traffic back behind you. Think about the length of time you're sitting out in that lane as well, and whether something might come up behind you at speed that you haven't seen yet. Highway code does say we should be using the left of the available lanes, and we should be moving back in once we've completed our overtakes. So whilst there's a little bit of discretion there, we should be moving in if we're potentially causing somebody else to have to go around us. planning for the exit too early. So moving back into lane 1 before or at the 1 mile marker, where there's still some overtakes that could be done in the minute or so that you've got before you're actually going to be taking the exit. And occasionally we see late planning the same thing, so late planning taking an exit. Just a little bit too pushy with trying to get past vehicles and squeeze onto the exit in front of the vehicle. Which to me just seems a little bit rude. You can plan further ahead, be able to time your exit so you don't inconvenience anybody else or come across as an impatient rider. This is a rather strange stretch of dual carriageway where the speed limit's been reduced to 40 because obviously there's been a lot of accidents and issues. And actually today everybody's being rather sensible, but quite a lot of the time I'm just going to move because this slip road doesn't have a very good approach view for those coming up it, and I want this lane anyway. Today everyone's being sensible, and quite often you get people zooming down here at 70 miles an hour. They don't want to do the 40. And I suppose from local knowledge they've never been caught or seen a speed camera van on this stretch. Really regular mirror checks help with planning on the motorway. It's quite hard to talk on this. We'll check up the side entranceway where there's a lane where they can join the slip road without having to give way. Just checking no one was zooming straight into this lane. Now we would hope that the second red car in front might be getting his speed up at this point, but we're only doing 46. So I'm going to drop back a little bit. Allow myself time to assess what's going on for joining and to get a bit of speed up as well. I'm a big fan of doing shoulder checks for changing lanes on the motorway. I don't like to trust my mirrors, even though I do incredibly regular mirror checks. I have occasionally been caught out, done a last minute lifesaver and noticed that actually there is a vehicle in my blind spot. So I would rather do that check anyway. I've just passed the lorry. I'm looking really far up the road. I don't want to move in too early because I don't want to move into the blind spot of another vehicle. With the red van coming out past the lorry ahead, I'm going to hold my position in this lane. It looks like I'm making progress on them. Keeping a good eye on my mirrors. I'm not holding anybody back by being in this lane. Expect the silver car to want to move out. I haven't made any efforts to, so I'm going to hold my position. I would have moved over into lane 4. They didn't make any efforts to actually move. Sometimes it's worth anticipating it and moving anyway. Hold position 3 in the lane as I come past the van in case he's not paying attention and comes into my lane. That's safe to do that. There's nothing in lane 4 at the moment. Once again, be careful not to move into the blind spot of another vehicle. Timing my move in. I'm moving into where there's a gap next to me. There's regular mirrors. See the indicators come on in front. Plan an early move out, allowing for a bit of gap between myself and the Porsche. Mirrors again. again. See there's traffic in lane 4 quite far back at the moment. I'm also trying to cast my eyes really far into the distance to plan ahead. So way in front of the big black truck that's in lane 2. I'll leave back in for now. Anticipating that perhaps the black truck is going to be moving in to the left once he's past the vehicle carrier. The lorries are braking. To me that might mean that one of them's about to start to want to move out. Just held my speed back a little bit in case his indicator came on. I could have timed whether I wanted to overtake. I'll let the silver van come past. It's in lane 3. Hoping this Fiesta keeps his speed up. He's moved in quite early, which means I now need to drop back a little bit to give myself a stopping distance. He's kept his speed up now, so that's good. I can resume 70. Really regular mirrors. You see, I'm not telling you every time I'm doing a mirror check. I'm keeping a very good eye on them. In my mirrors in this lane, I cannot see into lane 4 with my right mirror. I'm just going to hold position. There's no point moving into the white lorry. It's not particularly busy. The traffic's quite well spaced out in these lanes. So if I want to see into lane 4, actually I can catch it now in my right mirror, but sometimes you have to use your left mirror to see the furthest lane to your right. Good use of both mirrors is very helpful to know what's going on. I'll leave in now. No longer making progress. Try not to get myself trapped. Watch as he moves in. I want to plan ahead for the overtake past the next lorry. I want to move out until the blue car's passed in lane 3. Pop my indicator on early. I'm going to check. Make sure there's no one in the blind spot, no one moving in from lane 3 into 2 as I couldn't see. Trying to time it so I didn't get trapped by the white car that was in 2 behind me. It's worked nicely because he's moved out. That's lovely. Once again I'm looking up the inside of the lorries as the bend's going around to the left just to gain an early view. For the most part, I'm staying in the middle of my lane unless I feel there's a reason to move to one side or the other. And only if it's safe to do so. Watch Mr. White car's a bit swervy in his lane. Not quite sure why, might be distracted. Or perhaps he's getting ready to take the next exit. Surprisingly close. How people move in front of you and don't leave much of a space in front of you. So again, just easing up my speed a little bit, give myself a better stopping distance. This allows me to look further up the road ahead. Way ahead, I'm looking beyond the blue lorry, right in the very distance. You might not be able to see it on the video. But with a better stopping distance between me and the cars in front, I'm going to move out so I think this black car wants to overtake the white lorry. With a better stopping distance between myself and the car in front, I can look further ahead without the risk of them putting their brakes on just in front of me and me missing it. Personally, I prefer to stay further back from vehicles in front on a motorway. I'm staying out because of the slower moving queue of cars in lane 2, passing the brown lorry. Good eye on my mirrors in case any of these vans gets impatient and wants to pass the vehicle in front. Again, I'm keeping a good distance back. I don't mind if they use the distance that I've created between myself and the white car. having a little look over to the other side of the road. Sometimes it's useful to spot anything strange going on that side, in case the people on this side get distracted by it. Car in front started straddling 2 lanes, which makes me think he's probably on the phone. Watch and see if he can stay in his lane for any period of time before we get anywhere near him. Okay, it's getting a bit busy now. So I'm going to plan ahead, move out early so I don't get stuck behind the tanker. If the red car behind wants to overtake, they can use lane 4, which is free and clear. A good distance back from the car in front, which means that I'm not able to plan ahead because I'm too busy being on the phone. My exit's going to be coming up shortly. Keeping a good eye on my mirrors. I'm going to be gradually making my way over, timing it. That to be nice and steady. Expect this van to come out past the lorry. And I'm going to be taking the exit too. Just drop in behind him and then drop back. So the van actually wants the exit too, that makes sense. There's not enough distance between the van and myself and the lorry. There is. I know we're supposed to take the gap between the arrow. I do like to keep a good distance back from the vehicles in front. Sometimes there's debris in the road, and if I'm too close to the vehicles in front, you can't see things like debris in the road until you're on top of it, potentially going over it. It would be safe to suddenly swerve at this sort of speed. Probably the minimum distance that I'd like to be behind a vehicle. Just watching what the blue car's doing on my left as I'm joining. She's not going to cut across those solid white lines. Sometimes people do. Good checks for changing lanes past the Mini. The throttle a little bit against the hill. The car behind's already planning for the megabus. He's still quite far back, so I think I've got time to go for my overtake without breaking the speed limit or holding him back too much. Just watching this van. I'm in his blind spot. He may not have seen me as he joined. In as much as the car behind shouldn't be speeding, it's not up to me to determine that. So if I feel I'm holding him back, then I will move in when it's safe to do so without moving into the blind spot of any vehicle. I'm choosing my gap between the Mercedes and the lorry to move in, keeping my speed up at the speed that I'm comfortable to do within the legal limit. So I'm going to move in because there's quite a big gap now. Good, the overhead warning sign's telling us to plan ahead and carry water. I've got plenty of water on board and a snack in case I get a puncture or break down. Lots of entrances and exits going on here. Careful not to move into the blind spot of the lorry. vehicles approaching on the left, some of those will be coming up to join this road. Sometimes it's worth moving across into lane 3 at this point, because quite often what happens is the lorries will join, a car will join after the lorry, and want to move immediately into lane 2. So a preemptive lane change can help. Starting to bunch a little bit as the lanes are about to divide for 2 separate roads, either staying on the motorway or leaving for dual carriageway. Expect there to be a few lane changes going on. But I'm going to be wanting to take the exit, so I'm going to try and stay in this lane for as long as is possible without cutting in too late. Just 2/3 of a mile. Should give me enough time to get in front of these 2 lorries and the van without getting too close to the red car in front. I'm checking my mirrors. We're down to 1/3 of a mile. Let's watch what this van's up to. A little bit wandery. Move in after the van. Just check to the left to make sure nobody's moving out in front of the van. Adjust my speed. I want to take the second exit, not the first, so that I can hopefully make use of lane 2. Checking my mirrors, reducing my speed to keep the distance. The lorry's doing the same. Excellent. Usually the lorries would be in lane 1. But that's fine, I don't mind. So once he moves into lane 1, it's not a problem. Keeping a good distance back for now. See what his decision is. Also allow enough room for this 4x4 to come out if he needs to. See if he's going to or not. Made no effort, so let's get on with it. Very regular mirror check. At the beginning of an incline, so I'm looking for either of the lorries wanting to overtake the tanker. They're both dropping back, so perhaps they're heavier than the tanker. Perhaps the tanker's empty. Still nice and regular in my mirrors. On that occasion I didn't do a shoulder check because I've had a really good clear view of the road ahead. And I've only just passed the tanker, so I know there's nothing on my left. Way up the road, I'm checking the parking area on the left to see if I can see any early signs of movement or indicators coming on. Rechecking my mirrors. Don't see anything happening at the moment, just keeping a good eye on those mirrors. I'm looking further up the road, now I'm happy nobody's moving off from the parking area. Back to the mirrors. Vehicles behind are quite far back at the moment, but there is a car approaching at speed. More than the speed limit. Looking as far around the bend as I can see. Trying to plan ahead early and back to mirrors. Whilst I'm in this lane, I'm also scanning the road surface. Sometimes dual carriageways have quite bad road surface. We also have ruts where the lorry wheels use the road. Some roads are particularly bad for that, others are much smoother. We're generally using position 2. Again, scanning the parking area, mirrors, staying out wide. I'm not holding anybody back being in this lane. I am keeping a good eye on my mirrors in case anybody else is seen maybe behind me. Happily using position 3 to pass these large vehicles. The barriers on the right. I don't have to worry about passing the traffic in the third lane. Looking up the left-hand side of the red lorry, it's silver van. Just trying to see if there's any hold-ups or brake lights. Approaching another incline, is the red lorry wanting to move out past the white one. Hasn't made any effort, so I'm just going to get on with it, get past him, stay in position 3 in case he starts to move out early. Checking my mirrors. Once again, look at the parking area. Doesn't look like the tanker's going to start to move out, so I'm going to move in. Holding myself back in a position where the van can see me in his mirrors. Then I want to go for an overtake. No traffic behind, so I'll move early, keeping myself in his mirrors, rather than getting right close up to the back of him, where he then can't see me. Keeping a good eye on those mirrors. I've asked myself the question why the BMW and Mercedes haven't gone for an overtake and whether they were likely to. They seem to be content to sit in lane 1. Okay, going for a downhill, so again the red lorry might look to overtake the blue one. Just checking my mirrors in case he looks like he's going to. Holding position 3. My mirrors, got vehicles behind in this lane. My exit's going to be coming up shortly. Move in into position 2. Check my mirrors. Keep an eye on what is going on behind. Can't see anything in front of these vehicles, and I can see the third marker for taking the exit. So I'm going to hang back, check my mirrors, pop the indicator on so the BMW knows what I'm up to. Following traffic. Use the gap in front of me to take the exit, as the Mitsubishi doesn't look like he's taking it, but I'm not going to pass him, just in case he does. A little right check there as I moved across slightly over to the right in case somebody else, whilst I was busy watching the Mitsubishi, decided to cut into the exit. Both brakes, squeezing the front. And then down to the rear brake, mirrors, whoops, and back on the throttle. It wasn't particularly smooth when I went back on my throttle because it was just about to change gear. If you catch it wrong on the NC750, sometimes it gives you a little bit of a jolt. So if it's on the gear change point, well, that's when it'll give you a jolt if you reopen the throttle because it can't quite work out what it is you want to do. Mirrors, both brakes, squeezing the front. Down to the rear brake, planning my distance back, nice smooth stop, taking this exit. I'm going to get too close to the car in front, there's a doggy in the back, don't want to frighten it. Also hanging back because of the van, he might want this lane. Checking my mirrors, I match the speed of the van without getting into his blind spot, there we go, and that's why I didn't. Down to my rear brake, that was both brakes to begin with, we're going straight ahead. Nice opportunity. Just checking my mirrors again, watch the car on the left. A lifesaver in case anybody's trying to zoom across the roundabout and take the exit before me. Good checks on the mirrors. Just keeping a good distance back from the van so you can see both his mirrors. And I'm in a very boring 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I'll wrap it up from here. There's no more dual carriageway or motorway until my journey back. So thank you for watching. I hope you found that helpful. Please comment, like, subscribe and share. See you soon. Bye bye.